Welcome, welcome. It's the wrap up. It's Team Superdad here. Welcome, friends, family, members, Team Superdad members all around the world. It is 2021 and we are back with the first wrap up of the year. If you've not joined us before, then bloody welcome to you. And if you're back, even better, because that must mean you are kind of enjoying it. Either that or you're twisted and like doing things you don't like. So good to have you here. As you know, we are on StreamYard, which means wherever you're watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you can comment and we will see it coming into the comments. Team Superdad community is alive and well and over at teamsuperdad.com. So if you are a dad, a busy dad, a worn out dad, a dad who wants more from life, then come on over and join in and be part of the community. We are creating our best lives ever, living the life we want to live rather than being stuck in the life we do not like. And through our F5, Focus Fitness, Finance, Family and Fun, we've got all the coaches, training, firewalking events when we're allowed to meet up again. It really is kicking off in there. So come on over and join us. Now, the wrap up is something that I've done. Literally, this is the 23rd time. And in the last few weeks, ta-da, we've managed to get, we're building up a team really for the wrap up. And Glenn, aka A Dating Dad over on Twitter, has is not just with me here. Turns out he lives around the corner.
Pretty much. I've been stalking you. My entire life has been building towards working with you.
and hilariously, we've worn almost identical T-shirts today as well. So that's team the memo. Well done for reading the memo. That's good.
Yeah, mine was a Secret Santa gift a couple of years ago, and I've never had a Secret Santa gift where I thought you've absolutely nailed this more than this one.
You know why? It's because most people don't give a toss about the Secret Santa gifts, which I really resent, actually, as being someone who likes to put a little bit of thought into their Secret Santa gift. Yeah.
So for those who are listening, rather than watching for whatever reason, I've got a T-shirt on that just says Tinder, completed it, mate. Which I love and I wear all the time. It's one I get the most looks at in the supermarket. And by the way, you may hear some noises in the background. I'm called A Dating Dad on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere because of the dad element to it. And so there's kids in the background right now enjoying Minecraft and God knows what they do. To be honest, it's probably a whole topic about what my kids are doing when I'm not looking.
It totally is. And actually, that's kind of one of our topics today is talking about quality time with our kids and what it is. So we'll come on to that. But it wouldn't be a first pod of the 2021 if we didn't have a little reflection on Christmas and New Year. At the risk of time stamping this episode, we are still in lockdown and Christmas and New Year was a bit of a lockdown experience. Because we were talking before, weren't we? It was just before Christmas, the last wrap up. And I was said, oh, on the way back from my dad's on Christmas Day, I'll come via your house and we'll have like a lunchtime beer, which would of course been completely breaking all the rules. So what was it like? What was it like for you? How did it go?
I actually blame you for lockdown because we were fine until you mentioned that on the show. And then Boris heard it obviously and said, you know what? I don't want to see my kids, so I'm going to stop everyone else seeing theirs. And I don't want to see my friends and so on. But it was okay. I split the custody of my kids 50-50 with their mum. So every other year we kind of swap who has Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and kind of the till Christmas dinner sort of time. And then you swap over, the other person gets them for the afternoon and evening unboxing day. So you're kind of splitting out the joy as much. And I'll be honest, it's not my favourite day of the year for half of it. Like the first time when I didn't have my kids, I'll openly admit I spent the entire morning just sitting in my bathtub sobbing. But they came back and then we had lots of presents, lots of food, lots of fun. That was lovely. But this time round, I decided to make the most of it. I filled it with chores and jobs and things to do, and cooked myself my favourite food, which I don't know if I've ever mentioned my preference. So this for viewers at home was my Christmas lunch. It's probably the best fry up I've ever produced.
I was about to say, I'm looking at that for our podcast listeners, that not only the full Monty, but laid out beautifully on the plate. They do say presentation's everything. And
I didn't want to eat it. I just wanted to look.
If you hadn't have laid it out like that, it wouldn't have fitted on the plate.
Oh, I'm going full Alan Partridge.
Like a ginormous breakfast.
I'm going full Alan Partridge. That wasn't a normal plate. They were my big plates. You know, it was. I mean, each tomato was a beef tomato that was several inches wide, and I genuinely didn't need to eat again until the end of Boxing Day. It was glorious. One of the things that made me really smile about Christmas. And then, of course, it was opening presents time. And one good thing about being a single dad is your presents are always good. You don't have to smile about the rubbish things.
You bought them yourself.
Yeah, exactly that. All wrapped up under the tree and enjoyed for the next couple of days. Did you get anything nice yourself?
What did I I mean, I don't know. No, if I'm that honest. No, I did. My brother bought me an epic pair of trainers. They're definitely more suited to the summer, but they're a cool pair of trainers. So a pair of like limited edition Nike kind of. They're like a cross between brain's gone blank. Anyway, like a running one, the Nike Air Max. They're like an Air Max, but they're like retro. So they're like almost like cross between literally an old running trainer and an Air Max. So with short,
you're a real sneakerhead then.
I'm a midway sneakerhead. I've got probably four. Well, if I count the old pairs, I've got 5 pairs of Air Force Ones, and most of them are some kind of limited edition. But
do you ever actually wear them, or are they just like for display?
Oh yeah, I totally wear them. Yeah. I don't have the financial abundance to have trainers that aren't worn, basically.
Oh, see now I've got this picture of Johnny's wardrobe, which has just got these softly top lit kind of shelves with these row after row after row of personalized. I'm pretty sure that one year you'll have a Team Superdad customized pair in the background.
Now that we're doing, right? But as to what's in my wardrobe right now, it is just boxes and boxes of crap that I should have thrown away years ago. We are having some levels of clean out, but no, like I think we grew up at Maidstone. Maidstone's always been a bit of fashion conscious town. I think it's becoming less and less so now. It's becoming more and more of just a dump now, basically. But
one year I had a pair of Dunlops, and I was so chuffed with them.
Of course, because
we didn't grow up rich, so having a pair of Dunlops was like glorious.
Yeah.
Not to spend all the time talking about Christmas, but I remember one year we did Secret Santa in our family, and I got my brother. So I bought him this remote control helicopter, and it's a little box of things. And I've walked in to the family thing and put it under the tree, and then he's walked in, and he's looked at me, and he's seen the box that I'm holding, and he's holding exactly the same box, and he'd got me and bought exactly the same present. And so we then just bought each other remote control helicopters, flew them around the mum's living room. Oh, exactly that. And then because I just thought, what would I love? And he did exactly the same. And then we raced around their mum's house and wrecked several lampshades and ornaments. So sorry, Mum.
There's on the subject of sorry, Mum. Apparently, I saw that it's a social media thing, right? Ronaldo's mum said, I wish all the times I told him off for smashing things in my house with a football, I'm now okay with it. She basically said, I wish I hadn't given him such a hard time, because it actually turned out all right. But so yeah, you've got a way to go before you get your helicopter's license.
Yeah. I mean, these days, Ronaldo, if you break something, you won't just buy a new ornament. He'll just say, I'll just buy you a new house.
Yeah, a new house. Sod that, yeah. But Chris, just for dads listening, right? This Team Superdad isn't just about single dads. We champion relationships, and the longer you can keep a good relationship going, then the absolute better for it. But if you do break up, then there's a lot of, starting with myself as the founder and leader of Team Superdad community and program, but there's a lot of single dads in the group as well. And it really is about creating a positive relationship with our children, of course, but even more importantly with our ex-partners as well. And it's interesting you said about splitting Christmas the way you do, because that's how I do it as well. I grew up with my sister and my dad separated. My sister and my sister's mum and dad were separated, so she's my half sister, but obviously I'd never call her that. So yeah, just kind of lunchtime, lay-by, handovers. Personally, for myself, Yeah, well, it kind of is, but no one gets to have fun, which is the that's no kind of drug deal I want to be involved in. But if you've got the kids in the afternoon, then you spend all morning waiting for them, and if you're the parent that's got them in the morning, then you're just expecting that in a couple of hours' time your Christmas day is going to end with the kids. So I know people have said to me that's weird that you don't get to see them over Christmas, but honestly, I'm with you. To fill my Christmas up with stuff when I don't have them. And then when they come back to recreate Christmas and do it all over again and then roll into New Year is absolutely brilliant. And it's worked really well for us over the last 5 years.
How did you spend your New Year's?
Well, Christmas Day was quite funny because Paul, another member of Team Superdad, and we spent Christmas Day together, and it was fun. We were drinking champagne and cooking dinner and laughing, and then there was a moment where we sat down for Christmas dinner and we took a picture and we just looked like an old gay couple.
Well, so I can just imagine. I don't know whether you remind me of a kind of a Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, or the old two Muppet guys who just sit there and criticise in the corner every day.
Yeah, that's basically us.
Something in between that, just a bit more drunk.
But the evening was good because once we'd done the Christmas dinner and it was full Monty. We didn't stick a couple of things in the microwave. Full Monty Christmas spread. But then we sat, smoked some joints, drank beer, and played FIFA for 6.5 hours. The funny thing is, Paul doesn't really play much FIFA because my kids and I do because my boy Jago's really into it. So to find our level, I ended up as Salford FC of the division in England, and Paul was Chelsea. Which 6.5 hours, hilarious.
Well, he didn't deserve victory in any case.
No, not playing as Chelsea. No.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm rubbish at computer games. They reached a point a couple of years ago where I realised that unless it's kind of a strategy game or a thinky game, my boy who's sitting over there, he just kicks my ass all the time. He beats me at every single. He's just way better than me because he sits playing it all day, every day. Yeah. Whereas I have to do silly things like work and cook and clean and stuff. I just don't get the chance to play.
Dad, you're so boring, as my daughter loves to tell me. But I think that's just her to be mean, not actually real. But he's getting to the point now where he is now getting better. I could hold my own in FIFA before, but now he's getting because he plays he plays online leagues and stuff, and he's getting ridiculously good, which is quite frustrating. But that's okay. That's the wheel of life. We're a circle of life, basically. Yeah, it's
still. For the moment, he might be able to beat me at FIFA, but I can run a lot longer and a lot faster than he can. So my fitness levels are still a little bit higher.
I'm all over that. Yeah, I'll race you. Come on, son. let's see you boss still. Totally. Which leans on nicely to we're going to kind of scurf past New Year, but that does lead on nicely to dads and fitness, which I was wanting to talk about. But New Year, right? Everyone's so full of there's 101 challenges coming up on my Facebook feed about getting fit and stuff. And I've last year during lockdown, and people are in Team Superdad would have seen the daily sweat and my HIIT workouts and running. I really was fitter last year I was already fit, but last year was even fitter than I've ever been. And then to have so much backache and neck ache and shoulder ache and across this winter period is absolutely, it's got me down to be.
Is that a new thing or is that something old?
It's stuff that's coming back from old days. When I played rugby and I was 19, there was one particular day, it's a vivid memory because that's when it all started. I went through to catch a ball and I jumped. So the ball was kicked from wide as like basically for the winger to run on and score the try. And as I jumped up to catch it, their fullback ran through me and I landed and kind of like folded in half kind of in the wrong way.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't sound nice.
No. And the funny thing was the next day, because obviously we went out, got absolutely pissed out of our brains afterwards. This was when I was like 19. When I got out, the next morning I got out of bed and fell on the floor because it like all cramped. I just woke up, stood up, fell down. I was like, Dad. So yeah, I can trace it back to that, but it's kind of not fair when I pay for the osteopath. I do all this stuff. But it just got me thinking as we're planning. I'm working with Pete Brook, who's in the Team Superdad community, where we're working on the fitness program for Team Superdad, which is along the lines of 75 hard and the 6-pack revolution. But it's a easy to do set of fitness activities that if you're really unfit, you can just do it. And then it becomes like a benchmark for getting to a sensible level of fitness as a dad. So there's press ups, sit ups, burpees. Burpees is where you do the press up and then jump up and then go back down.
Yeah, I've read about them on the internet.
Okay, I've heard of it. And then 5K walk, jog, run, and then a bleep test, which is a bleep test is basically your anaerobic, where you run just like you do shuttle runs over 20 minutes, 20 meters basically. So we're working on that as the framework for the F5. But just I think I want to say on the matter that fitness is important for all dads. Just like a sensible level of fitness. You just joked about being able to outrun your kids still. But it is for our energy levels, for our creative thinking, for our looks, like if you want to not have a gut hanging over your boxer shorts, confidence obviously comes into that. It is important, but you don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger or an Olympic triathlete to we mustn't get too overwhelmed or caught up in these things. What about your fitness, Glenn? Is it, just joked about it then, but is it really that far off your radar?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have done fitness in my lifetime. But I mean, if you average it out, I'm sure I've got a degree of fitness across an activity across all the years. See, when I was in my 20s, I'm now 40, just turned 40 last year. When I was in my 20s, I used to play a lot of Australian rules football, which is brutal, lots of running hard. I loved it, absolutely loved it. So I used to play that, train that twice a week and play at weekends, doing 2 matches at the weekends.
In Australia?
No, this was in the UK.
All right. Where do they play Australia? Was it London? Oh, yeah. You lived South London, didn't you? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, I lived in Walthamstow, but we trained. There's teams all across London. I probably haven't mentioned. I used to be president of AFL Britain, so I was really heavily into it.
Where's your badge?
Yeah. I love. You're
going to rip open your shirt, president.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got bodyguards around the house. It's once a president, always a president. But
if there are Aussies watching this, they're just laughing, going, "That is."
Yeah, I mean, I don't look like a typical AFL player, do I? I'm not. By the way, with all of this, I'm definitely not saying I was good.
Yeah. Okay.
I represented my country in a training match once. My little brother, who I got into it, he was brilliant. I sent him off to Australia as part of the national team to play in the World Cup. Or the International Cup. But yeah, I used to absolutely love it. So I was training for that twice a week, which is tons and tons of running. Then I was also, I was in a gym. So I was going to the gym a couple of times a week, swimming. I was cycling to and from. I used to live in Walthamstow, work in Tower Hamlets, which is about 8-10 miles away. So I used to cycle there and back every day. So I was hyper fit. Yet I still looked pretty much identical to the way I look now, because I was never of the mindset of let's build up muscle mass and let's go real full muscle face on things. And as much as I'd have loved to, because I think that would have looked quite good, it wasn't possible, because that takes hard work. It takes a lot of work to build up some sort of Greek god sort of chiseled body. And I have never got the time and energy and motivation to do that. And that's kind of over the years when I've had more kids and I've had to drop the actual sport elements and the fitness elements. I look the same, but I've had less and less time and no real motivation to do it. Now, when I turned single, I thought, okay, this is great. I'm gonna get some weights and I'm gonna join a gym and I'm gonna do this. And then you don't. You end up getting busy doing other things and going out and drinking and partying and so on. And I just never get around to it.
How old were you then?
When I became single, 36. So that's 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years. So it's about to hit you. It's about to catch up on you, especially.
No, you think I'm going to wake up one day with just some massive beer belly?
No, it's going to be it's going to be at the front. It's going to be like a kangaroo. It's going to be like a baby, like an old man with a skinny bloke with a baby. Yeah. There's a term, skinny obese. You can be skinny obese.
Well, that's
and it's just there at the front.
I'm lucky enough. I hide all my fat in my arteries, so it's only going to come up one day when I just drop down dead, and they're going to open me up, and it's going to be like in the National Lampoon thing when they open the turkey and it's all dry and disgusting inside. They're going to open me up just to check it, and it's just going to be fat oozing out like some sort of horror film from the 70s. But yeah, I've got a natural degree of fitness. But I never, and I'm definitely not going to use the phrase I haven't got the time. I'm going to say I never make the time to do it. I've never had the motivation to actually get off my ass and do more running. Because I run a 5K is about 25, 26 minutes. So I've got speed, but I've just not got the motivation to actually focus and dedicate to either proper fitness or building up a full beach body dad bod type thing.
So here's the bad news. As a 46 and a third, 46 and 2/3, I'm 47 in May, basically. So as someone who's got 6 and nearly 7 years on you, it's coming, dude.
Oh,
it's
man.
coming.
Not looking forward to that.
You're gonna.
Although you look magnificent, of course.
Well, like I said, I'm fitter than I've ever been, but by the same token, this pain thing has got to go. But I think it's a bit stress related. Pretty sure it's stress related. So I found this Christmas and New Year thing. Actually, this leads nicely onto the next subject, which there is a serious side to this for dads. And as awkward as this is to bring up, I'm going to bring it up because health. Lots of dads stuff goes on health wise, and we keep it under wraps, right? And my granddad, it's very, very funny anecdote. He kept dinging the car. My granddad's been dead 20 years, right? But he kept dinging the car. He's like in his 70s, and so my dad and him went to the doctors. But was it time he had to stop driving? And family folklore has it that the doctor said to him, "Mr. Jensen, can you see out of your left eye?" And he goes, "Oh no, not for about 2 years now." So he'd been blind in his left eye for 2 years. Turned out he had a tumor in his brain, the size of an orange, and he was dead 2 months later. So, like, we can't ignore those things, and yet here I am about to share something. So, during a bit of Johnny time over Christmas, I jizzed blood.
Yeah, mate, that's I don't want to be like the ones to break this to you. That's not normal.
It freaked me out. It freaked me out, and I was not inclined to test and see if it happened again. So I kind of sat with this subject for a while before I did a little Google search on it, and it can be, if it's never happened before, it can kind of be, according to the oracle that is Google and NHS Direct and all those sorts of things, it's not that much to worry about. So
I would still be bricking it. I've got to say, once is way too many times.
Yeah. So, but on my conscious mind, I told myself it's fine. But like in the back of my mind, actually, I was just insanely worrying about it all, literally all the time. So, spoke to a friend who's a sexual health nurse, and she kind of reiterated, she goes, "I hope you don't mind me asking, but were you being overly aggressive?"
No, I'd set candles out, and
I know.
I got some baby oil, and it was lovely.
Exactly. I was like, listen, I'm the only, it's the closest thing to a relationship I've got, so I'm gonna be nice about it. So then I did eventually share it with a couple of mates, and both of them pulled a face like you did, and were like, "You've not been to the doctors? Are you kidding me?" So, so I've now been to the doctors, and so I had a urology, bloods, other side, so fully getting it checked out. So
getting or have had it checked out.
Both. I'm in the process.
Right. Okay.
I've had certain tests. I've got to go and have some other ones. Obviously, I'm waiting for the letter appointment to come back from the hospital and stuff. So
yeah. Well, fingers are more than crossed, but yeah, that you got to get stuff checked out. I mean, it's one of those things where it can be embarrassing, but the doctors know that. So for me, I guess it's kind of an out of body experience about walking in and saying that this is embarrassing. I know it, and I'm embarrassed. However, this is what happened, and kind of taking that kind of step back from things and thinking, okay, how would I describe this if I was describing it happening to someone else? Because describing it happening to yourself is mortifying, even though actually it's nothing to do with you. It's not your fault at all. It just happens.
Yeah. Like my mind has just wandered to the Monty Python sketch in the Knights one, when they're having a fight. That's not a wound, that's a flesh wound.
Yeah.
No arm, like just a flesh wound, just a glancing blow.
Although, just as a kind of a quick tale of caution, when you are going into these things, just my little brother. Now I've got two, so I'm not going to say which one, even though
narrowing this story down to two humans.
Yeah, even though he will quite happily share this story, and I'm going to be sharing it at his eventual wedding. So he went to the toilet one day, and after he kind of he looked in the toilet, and there was blood. That's not normal. That's not good. That's not healthy. So after he bit the bullet, went to the doctors. And he went into the doctor's room and said, "Look, doctor, I've been to the toilet, and there's blood, and it's scaring me, and I feel like I want to get it checked out to make sure it's nothing serious." So doctor said, "Okay, can you lay on the couch, pull your trousers down, bring your knees up?" And of course, as my brother's doing that, the guy's getting his glove on and lubing up and straight up, has a rummage around. And says, "Okay, all right, you can put your trousers on." So I can feel something. There's a bit of a bump. But that's fine. That's normal. We'll give you some cream, and that will sort it out. And my brother's kind of putting his trousers up. I said, "Doc, that's really good and all, but the blood was from my pee." So be specific when you're doing these sort of things.
Unless you also fancy a prostate examination. Okay, good. Well, I've got a prostate. I've got one of those coming down the line, I'm pretty sure of. So yeah, so that's how I hope that comes across to listeners, watchers. Bite the bullet. However awkward it is, have the conversation. If it's not with your mates first, share it in the Team Super Dad community. It's a safe space. We've got the dad call every other Monday. That also is a safe space. You can just come and be part of the call.
Can they do it like anonymously? Can they private message you and stuff like that? And just, I mean, not that you're a doctor or anything, but just to bounce some ideas around.
Anyone who wants to put an anonymous comment in the Team Super Dad community can just private message me, and I'll gladly put that into the group as secret message, as an anonymous message. Yeah,
I
think everyone knows what anonymous means.
yeah. Because as men, we're just trained. You know what? Just man up. Just suck it up. It's probably fine. Don't worry about it. Like you say, you lose a leg and you're told just run it off. You'll be all right. And that's not normal. That's not right. How would you feel if your brother or your son or your dad revealed that they like your granddad
not for 2 years? Yeah.
2 years. You'd be like, what are you doing? Come on, man, talk to me about these things and I'll help you. Yeah. Or even don't talk to me, but go and talk to a doctor. You'd be furious at them. So be furious at yourselves as well. And just hold yourself to the standard by which you hold others.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I went out of the conversation. I went and had a COVID test.
Oh, yeah.
Because
is that the first time you've had your eyes watering and been gagging?
Yeah. I took my trousers down at the COVID centre. Caused quite a stir. Someone said to me, "Oh, actually, the body aches, backache, rib ache, chest ache, the symptoms that you get or you hear about as the normal symptoms apparently aren't the only symptoms."
Right. Okay.
So by sharing it, I ended up they're now doing these kind of walk-in ones that the army are doing. And it was pretty slick actually, but also a little bit surreal. Bit
Did you have the one stuck in your nose and
it's
out the back?
Yeah, self-administered. So you
isn't that what trouble got you into trouble in the first place?
Self-administered, yeah. Again, wrong use of the cubicle. Oh, I thought this was the other test. Oh, COVID. Okay, sorry. Yeah, can I have a tissue? It was a bit surreal. It was a bit sort of. If you squinted your eyes and imagine yourself sort of in the Second World War or something, we would, there was army and we were lined up and going in and, but yeah, pretty slick. And then came back negative within an hour. So I can kiss anyone now, to be quite honest.
You can't kiss anyone. You can't go around licking random people because you haven't had it. You're not.
Okay, got it. Right. Okay. Shit. I better.
If you do, then at least video it because that's going to get us some content we can sell on You've Been Framed.
Well, any dates recently on that subject? On subject of kissing, has the dating dad had any dates recently?
Not really, because of lockdown. Been kind of chatting to a couple of people, and hoping to set a few things. I did a simul cook thing where you kind of both choose the same meal and cook it at the same time and chatting away as you do it. So that was fun.
Like an actual date, like not a live stream, just you and her.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So just not live stream to the world, but
okay.
one-on-one. And yeah,
or any other.
I mean, not this time because you don't want to be cooking something whilst spatter Yeah, I'm
Okay,
always aware of spatter.
make a
Um,
salad. Yeah.
yeah, but no. Other than that, but that it wasn't really going to go anywhere. And yeah, it's annoying because I'd kind of geared myself up a little bit to get back into it a little bit. But then with lockdown, you're not going to go out and meet anyone, at least not for the next few weeks. And then probably, let's be realistic, it's not going to end soon. So you're not going to meet anyone face to face for quite some time. So I don't need a pen pal. I don't want to be sitting here after the first couple of weeks when you kind of got to know each other a bit. Then it becomes okay. Well, how was your day? Same. Sat at my computer and typed. How's your day? Same. Sat at my computer. What are you going to talk about?
Yeah.
So it's I kind of have almost decided that's it. I'm done until spring, summertime, which is not a place I want to be.
I went on a walking date the other day.
Did you?
That kind of worked out, right?
How'd you meet?
I matched, which is like blooming about as often as Saturn and Uranus coming into the view in the stars, or Saturn and Jupiter or whatever. But no, we matched, and then we chatted, and then we had a walking date, got a coffee, and walked up and down the river. So
how'd it go?
It went pretty well, actually. She's fun. I think that's the and I don't mean that in some sort of like I'm avoiding saying something else. Like, it was really enjoyable couple of hours. So for someone who's sort of just really just getting early stages back into I would like more people to match with me. Blimey, the number of times I swipe right, you'd think I would get some more matches, but I don't think my destiny is to find someone on a dating app. But
don't write it off, though. Don't write it off.
I'm not right now. I keep changing my. I don't know. You're trying to work out why you don't get more things, but
no, there's a whole world of work we can do on that. Just because that's kind of that's my specialism. I'm not saying that I'm some sort of pickup artist or anything, and I've got the answers. But I spend so much of my time talking about it and researching about it and helping people to do things that we'll do a full on montage worthy makeover of profiles and stuff.
Right. So what we'll do is we will do a podcast about it, and then we will do a group type session inside of the Team Superdad community where we'll do it on Zoom, and then people can like share they can hold up their profile. Excellent. And we might even be able to get a couple of women on.
I chat with women all the time who because at the end of the day, we see female profiles, and so we've got really strong opinions on what's good and what's bad. And so I'm always really keen to talk to women about what do you think about the men's profile. So I've done a lot of work kind of building up that knowledge over the years.
Okay, we're definitely doing that. So dads, if you're watching this, if you're listening, comment in the chat, and we'll make sure you get a personal invite to that event. By the way, someone commented as we were talking about the importance of fitness. And they said it is super important for your sex life, which fits into this conversation quite well.
It really is. I mean, there's nothing worse than having to take a break halfway through because you know what, you need to catch your breath. I mean, sometimes that's a good sign. That means, wow, yes, brilliant.
Especially if she's on top, then you really know you're in trouble.
But I mean, the other thing we're going to do about dating profiles and so on is, and this is something that women don't get. They can't wrap their head around. There was even last night there was some women chatting about why are men's dating profile photos so crap? Haven't they got friends who can take good photos of them and don't they know their angles? No, we don't. Men don't go out with their friends and think, I look good. Can you take a photo of me looking good? We don't do that.
And they will take the piss out of you for the next 4 hours.
Exactly. Which means that all we've got is a load of selfies or pictures of us holding up a fish or some crap like that. Or like really cropped in versions of things. So one thing I'm going to be doing in the summer when world returns to normal is a combination pub crawl and photo shoot where we can. I'm going to do a couple of these because a lot. But we can do it with Team Superdad community. We can go a bunch of guys. We go out. This sounds a bit stupid, but take a couple of outfits.
No, it's a really good idea.
A t-shirt, a jumper, or something like that, a coat and something. So basically, we go to a bunch of different really nice-looking pubs. Maybe I want to do it around London because there's some great places I know in London which just look stunning. But we can do it wherever. We can as long as there's a few different locations. Go there. have drinks in different pubs. So you're in different places, and each the whole point of it. We'll have a little WhatsApp group or something to take loads of individual photos of each other, laughing, joking, drinking, having a good time. Not just doing the bad things, but standing in front of statues or posing or doing stuff. The whole point will be to get each person a dozen or 24 different photos that they can then cycle between on their dating apps.
And then at the end of the night, like an episode of Men Behaving Badly, we'll all be on the floor flipping drunk out of our brains.
I mean, the drinking element of this is a given. But this combines the drinking side of the pub crawl.
We are saying, we are saying. Men Behaving Badly. If you're not UK based and you want a funny, quite blokey comedy to watch,
very 90s, very 90s.
Oh man, lad culture. I'm all for women's rights and equality and all that sort of stuff, but lads, good. We need a bit of balance, okay? We need some laddism back in the world. Just before we finish the subject, right? Netflix and chill. I didn't know what that meant until recently. I thought she likes watching movies and she likes chilling out, as like she's quite a chilled out person. Separate subject. Actually means shagging, basically.
Yeah. If someone says, "Do you want to Netflix and chill?" do not go over there expecting to see the end of the movie. That's what. It's a whole vernacular around dating that you only learn when you start doing it. There is that. There's ghosting, breadcrumbing, hobbing, cushioning. There's the whole world of what was I going to say? Oh, there's
catfishing.
Catfishing is another major one there. But then there's so many things. The third date rule. I never knew about the third date rule. And then you speak to newly single people, like, what's the third date got to do with anything?
Don't wipe your knob on the curtain or something like that.
No. By the way, these are not things I agree with, but these are common terms, and I've got to be careful because of my surroundings with young ears. But the third date is when it's expected. You're expected to either shit or get off the pot. Right. Basically, okay. in terms of quality one-to-one time together. Yeah.
Okay, so right, if we're not in bed by the third date, then this isn't happening. Okay, right.
Exactly, and that's and these are the sort of rules that I hate, because you know what, it could be one date, it could be 10 dates. It's when it's right. But that's a common understanding is by the third date you should know one way or another.
Yeah.
So all these rules and guidelines and language, it's a world of interest, but you just don't know it until you're in it.
Yeah. Well, one of the dads I speak to a lot in the Team Super Dad community, he always goes in for the kiss straight first date. You know, it's just so. I'm like, okay, that's good. That's bold. That's good. That's bold. But then it'd be good to hear a woman's perspective. I got a question I want to know, right? From watching a bit of porn. In porn, the bloke always slaps the woman's ass, right? I don't actually know if women like that. In that movie, is it Along Came Polly?
Yeah.
When he says, slap her ass and tell her to say, so say you love me, daddy, or something like that. Yeah. So then Ben Stiller says that to Jennifer Anderson, and she goes, did you just slap my ass? So then he goes back to his mate and says, you told me to slap her ass and say, who's your daddy? And he goes, yeah, did she like it? And he goes, no, she didn't like it. What are you talking about?
I mean, this is an entire episode I want to go into when I've got a little bit more freedom to talk. But my God, there is no do this and this will work. And it's so individual.
As a Team Super Dad expert hangout, and we'll get some women on as well. Well, listen, let's change up before we start to run out of time. It's been a crazy. I don't know. Do you watch much American news?
I'm obsessed with American news. I stayed up for 48 hours watching the election night stuff because it takes that long to just count some flipping votes, and then I've been glued to it over recent weeks. It's been mad, hasn't it?
It's been mad, right? And for anyone who's not interested in American politics, don't worry. There is some personal, funny relevance to this as well. So. Yeah, I interviewed a guy on the podcast the other day, Scott Crabtree. He's all about the science of happiness. Really cool guy. Literally, there is a science of happiness, and I've read a couple of books on this subject as well. The Happiness Advantage, just, as a choice. Like, if you say to someone quite miserable and negative that happiness is a choice, they're like, yeah, oh yeah, whatever. Failing to realize the irony that they can't even be positive about their response. But then talking to Scott and just how he has studied it, so there's the science behind it, so it's a proven scientific, the body, the chemicals, the what happens when we are laughing, when we generate happiness, when we bring a positive outlook to our life. But he was on the podcast the day that they were storming the Senate, and
that was not a happy day.
That was crazy, and he was shaken up by it. And I've got a lot of family in America, so that's some of my interest in American politics and stuff comes from that. But yeah, it was fully mad. Guns, beards. They all have beards, so you would have been okay as long as you've got.
Yeah, but I feel like my beard isn't long enough. I feel like you need a full-on redneck kind of triangular Gandalf style beard.
You do. You've got the tattoos. You're probably a bit too skinny as well. But that guy with the deer with the horns and the
God,
he's got a whole name. He's called, like, the thing is, how was he hoping he wouldn't get recognized afterwards?
Well, the thing is, they thought that we'll storm the Capitol and we'll force them to change, and Trump's in charge. Trump will pardon us because we're doing what he told us to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna look him up. Senate guy with horns, right?
He's just a Jamiroquai wannabe crazy man, whereas the ones who were scary were the ones who turned up in full tack gear with cable ties and guns and tasers. Even the ones who didn't taser themselves in the testicles. It's a scary world when you see an attempted coup in one of what is supposed to be the most stable democracies in the world.
Yeah, it was fully wild, and that's the interesting thing about this. People talk, who gets a toss about America and stuff like that, but which will lead me on into a minute to a funny thing I posted on Facebook the other day. But these guys are storming the Senate with assault rifles, and I'm laughing at it. His name's Jake Angeli. Actually, he's a known supporter of QAnon. But yeah, how did he possibly hope to, like, when I take the outfit off, they'll never recognize me?
It's the face paint, sort of the Batman approach. You know what?
Yeah,
they're fine. They're fine. They got it.
I was at my mum's last week. It wasn't me.
But we're thinking logically about this. Anyone who thinks the way they do, logic is not a word that comes into their lexicon. They're just off the rocker and off the plantation on this. They don't know what their end goal is, because they can't see past the short-termism. They can't see past their emotions. They're not using their head brain. They're using their gut brain, and that's just messed up.
Yeah. Have you seen the video where the first person was going in through the door? They worked their way up the stairs, and then they were breaking in through the barricaded door, and the officer's got the gun there, and this person just totally gung-ho climbs through and then gets shot, and everyone's like, man down. They're all like shocked that.
Yeah. But I mean, it's funny to kind of look at objectively, but equally it's heartbreaking, because after the whole Black Lives Matter movement, you just know that if that crowd had been as black as it was white, there would have been 5 rows of tanks on the lawn. There would have been tear gas flying. There would have been guns and rubber bullets and real bullets. There would have been a massacre. And it's simply because of their skin color that they were able to not just get close to the building, but get into the building, to charge around it and force elected officials to cower. I mean, the only reason they were able to do it was because they'd been trained about this from school. You know, the whole shooter sort of thing and tornado warnings, just get down, get quiet, get in the dark room and hide. So they've been trained from childhood. That's not right. How is this meant to be one of the most civilized countries in the world, and they can still have such a disparity between what color skin a terrorist is, and how they treat one versus the other? It's sickening.
Yeah, totally. Well, naively, I would hope that was more about what type of emergency services, what type of response units would have been put on alert at that time. So when it was the Black Lives Matters, those in charge, let's presume it was Donald Trump's people, say, right, we need to be braced ourselves here for trouble. And so you put all those kind of forces out. And then when it's his own supporters, he says, oh, yeah, just put a few guys, there. It's going to be okay, sort of thing. I don't know what would have been. I don't know what would happen if it had been a Democrat, in charge. Then I would hope so. But then Chicago is quite a Democrat sort of leaning area, and it's got the worst gun crime situation in the US. So,
like I say, if it had been a Black Lives Matter, they knew the protest was taking place. They knew people were going to get whipped up. There was intelligence to know that they were planning on something major. And if it had been a BLM gathering and thing right down the road from the Capitol, then they would have acted fundamentally differently.
Yeah, there'd have been 100 dead, if not more. Yeah.
But preparation-wise, they would have had the resources on hand. They would have had the tear gas. They would have had it all ready and all barricaded and sorted, because they would have known that they needed to do something more. But with these guys, they were just like, they're literally waving them in, and it's sick. And my heart goes out to not just the guys involved, not the terrorists, but the innocent people in the Capitol, and friends and family I've got who live in Washington DC, because that's where my old company used to be based.
Oh, right, yeah, of course.
They were scared to walk out their house for days because they didn't know what terrorists were walking around the streets. But my heart goes out to all of those people, but also just the rest of the states, because the actions of those idiots, those scumbags, those terrorists, I don't know what the opposite of a patriot is, but the anti-patriots of the US have now tainted so many people's livelihoods and the outlook that the world has on what was meant to be a great country.
Well, if anyone's doing running a number on America in their minds, take a listen to some of Joe Biden's speeches over the last 10 days. And as a statesman, as an elder statesman, as someone who's worked across parties, he's doing a great job already. But on this subject, and slightly more close to home, I'm a member of loads of different dad groups. So one of them is called Only Dads, and it's mainly US based. So last week there was a guy posted a picture of his son with his pistola, with his gun, and say,
Nerf gun.
No, a gun, proper gun, like a pistol, shotgun, actual gun.
Proper,
the kid's 12, right? So he's saying, "Oh, proud day, got Billy his first gun. We've been out shooting," and so people are commenting. So I put on there, "Wow, that's pretty surreal to see coming from a country where we don't." Have guns, and there's no gun movement, and I said it wasn't like a "you nutter, how dare you" kind of thing. I was just sharing that it was surreal to see it. So, oh my gosh, I got laid into, and it was hilarious. They were going, they were like, that's why we pushed you lot out, like talking about the Boston Tea.
That was 250 years ago.
I know.
Get over it.
And the guy was going, "Oh yeah, like you guys have got it sorted." He made it. He goes, "What do your police do? Yeah. Stop, or I'll say stop again."
We do, but we do manage to catch just as many, if not more, criminals in them. And when we catch them, they're still breathing.
Yeah. So there were people making jokes. They were talking about tea and crumpets. He's going, "Oh, what are you going to do? Throw a toaster at them?" Or
that's quite funny. But
it was funny. It was funny.
But equally, there are so many. It's just one of those things where we can't understand the levels of crazy. And I'm happy. Attack all you want. I think a country where it's commonplace for any individual to walk around with a gun, a gun that can kill people, that's mad. That's mad. It's not right. It's not good. We should have evolved past that. And so I think it's weird and it's wrong. And I think I personally hate. I can't. If I turned around and someone said, "Oh yeah, we gave your kids gun lessons the other day," without my knowledge, I would be furious, because I don't want my kids exposed to a world where they've got the power of life and death over people. Especially not when I'm trying to make them get up in the morning and do their homework of an evening. I don't want them killing me.
It was bonkers. It did make me think a little bit about gun crime knife crime and that sort of stuff. But more hilariously, because I've got a lot of family in America and spent a lot of time there as a teen. So I faced at certain times during my teenage years, particularly when we got to the age where I could get into bars and stuff, of getting kind of semi-racially abused for being English, British, and these were either Irish Americans who were on a kind of Northern Ireland angle, or real, what I would now understand as right-wing people, but just immensely American proud, and they'd be like, "Yeah, we kicked you out. We kicked you out 100 years ago." And I'm like, "I'm just on holiday. I'm just on holiday visiting my family. We're having a beer. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, that wasn't even your granddad. That was your great granddad. I mean, you're living off of his glory. Come on, do something yourself.
I know. It is. But there we go. I think we're heading into a better time, which is can only be a good thing for the world. And just finally, as we wrap this up, you were talking then about what we do with our kids and not teaching them to shoot guns. This lockdown, I saw you mention some funny things about homeschooling and stuff this week, and we're all been in the same boat. Quality time, like where. Okay, so we're not going to teach our kids to shoot guns, so that's one thing we can't put on our list. What you got?
That being said, I do. I have spent some time running around with Nerf guns recently. Yeah, that's been quite fun.
Yeah. So you got 7 to 16. Yeah.
7-year-old boy, 10-year-old girl, 14-year-old boy, and a 16-year-old girl, and the amount of time they want to spend with me varies depending on how busy I am. So when I'm not busy over a weekend, then I'll be sitting there playing the computer games. So right now, let's have a quick look over. I've got one on an iPad playing Minecraft, another one on a PlayStation playing the same Minecraft but on a different screen.
Yeah.
I've got one playing Terra Tech on a computer over in the corner, and one up in a room watching TV, watching some Korean sitcom. So they're off doing their own thing because I've got my time. I've got quality time that I can spend with them. So obviously they want to spend it by themselves. Now, when I'm working, however, that's when they want the quality time. That's when they want to play. That's when they want to show me their slime planets and lessen the outcomes and so on. And it's inversely proportional to the amount of time I've got available.
Yeah, totally. Well, last Sunday, Rosie woke up. Everyone woke up, but we were up. There'd been a heavy frost, so it's kind of quite a pretty winter scene. And I know for both my kids, the desire now is ever increasing to want to have some one-on-one time, and they're both kind of of an age now where I can go outside and play with Jago and Rosie can stay indoors, or I can go and do something like go to the shops with Rose and leave Jago here for half an hour. So we popped to the park, had a walk, took a hot chocolate and a coffee, fed the ducks, and it was about 45 minutes, but it was gold, really. Rosie was utterly made up. And as a dad, she's 9 now, but she's holding my hand the whole way. We played poo sticks. We were watching the different ducks getting stuck on the ice. And, it would have been, on the one hand, lovely if all three of us had been there. But on the other hand, it was absolutely magic that it was just me and her.
Time is so precious and so rare. I still remember one of my favorite times ever spent with my dad. He literally, because I'm one of 6, but when I was visiting him every 3 or 4 weeks for a couple of days, for a weekend, it was only 4 of us. But one of my favorite times ever, he just said, I'm just going to go pick up some dry cleaning. Do you want to come with me? So it was just me and him picking up dry cleaning, and then we stopped off for a cheeky McDonald's breakfast. That's about the only one-on-one time and I spent with my dad as a child until I went to football with him as an adult. That was it. Yeah. And that's treasure. That one-on-one moment, it matters so much. So I try and do it with the kids, but being a single dad and there's 4 of them, it becomes quite difficult to do. Yeah, whenever you can spend one-on-one time, it makes such a massive difference.
Yeah, totally. And it's not all about money. Jago and I, all he wants to do is play football with me. Yeah. And the other week we had a daddy day with just him, and Rose went with her mum for mummy day, and him and I went to the park, played football for 3 hours. And I think if it hadn't suddenly started pissing it down, we'd have probably played until it got dark, basically. Yeah. And that's the message for dads, both in a relationship and out of a relationship. It's really, really vital to just grab your kid and, like you shared, pop. I don't want to go to the DIY store. Okay, yeah, but we'll chat in the car on the way there, and let's go for a McDonald's breakfast on the way back. So you can turn it into some quality time with that person. And more often than not, when you're in B&Q and you're walking around looking at hammers and drain pipes and whatever,
Yeah.
then you find things to laugh about and joke about, and it can become a magic moment. So we're on the same page about that.
Yeah, you never know what your kids are going to remember. You never know what moments mean more to them, or what's going through their heads at any one time. So, yeah, carve it out. It just, if you're with someone, just say, look, I'm going to take this one kid and do this one thing. When I did have my ex, we were together. When my kids, I think it's about 10 or something like that, I take them away for a weekend camping. Well, firstly, I used to take him off to watch football with me every now and then, so that was always nice. But I take him away for a whole weekend, and we used to drive to Wales or God knows, Snowdon or something like that, and just with a little tent, just me and them in a car, drive there, pitch a tent, go walking up and down a hill for a day or so, and then drive back. It cost petrol money, and that was it. So money wasn't the issue, but it was about just me and them being together. And those are the sort of things which are going to stick in their minds as they grow up and reinforce that you're there. You'll actively want to spend time with them rather than just having to spend time around them. And that makes a big difference.
Yeah. It's that consciousness for them that you're focused on them. They're very aware that whatever we're doing, this is my dad's totally focused on me. I think that's what the difference is. That's where they feel the connection. That's where the special memory comes from, is I did that thing and he was all about me. He was totally focused on me for that time.
So yeah, carve it out, fellas. Carve it out.
Yeah. Make sure it happens. Awesome. Good chatting, Glenn. Good chatting. And we've managed we only leaned a little bit into to football there. For any regular listeners, you'll know that both Glenn and I are Tottenham fans. And before we put the radio,
I'll go now.
I know. Before we press record, we both agreed we're taking a sabbatical. So good luck to us. I'll tell you what. I'm just grateful that they're managing to keep sport in general at some level on the TV, because I think it's providing a lot for people.
That is a big difference between this lockdown and the first one, because now, when I'm working on, I've got cricket. You've got Test cricket, which I can just sit back and have on and enjoy that. And Formula One's been on. Obviously, it's finished now, but football, there's regular loads of football going on, and sport just gives you that touch of normality that I love, and it gives you something different to talk about. And so there is, in the first one, no change, because you know what. No football, no sport, no nothing. So what do we do? Whereas now, at least it shows the world is continuing to evolve and things are happening, even if Spurs are continuing to evolve backwards.
Spursy.
Yeah.
Glenn, great to talk to you. At A Dating Dad on Twitter. Go over and connect, or at least follow Glenn's random journey through life and breakfast plates. You have a lot of women following you, actually. Most of your chit chat is seemingly women connecting to you. So perhaps I need to focus a bit more on my Twitter time.
Well, I just stick stuff out there that amuses me. Maybe I've just got that weird sense of humor that women seem to gravitate to.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll have a joint wedding one day. How about that? Or have a joint piss up for starters. Joint.
Yeah, let's start with that.
A joint. Let's have a joint. We'll leave it at that. Glenn, have a great weekend. Team Superdad, if you're watching, listening, please share this, leave a comment, subscribe. We are over at teamsuperdad.com. You can come and connect with us just on the free level, or you can sign up and join any of the paid activity that's going on. 2021, it really is blow the bloody doors off on purpose. Let's have a great year. Glenn, I'll see you on the next wrap up. Take it easy, buddy.
Sounds good.
Team Superdad out. Bye.